Hi guys. So just a quick couple of seconds of context. So this is a website for people to work together on shared aims. It was originally designed for charities because at the moment they have this process that they go through called a theory of change, where they set out their big ambitious goal and then work backwards from that and add steps towards it to kind of visualize how they're going to get to this thing that might seem kind of really, really lofty. Can anyone think of a thing that would affect everybody in this room that seems like almost unachievable, but would make everybody in this room's life better? Awesome. Okay, cool. We'll go with that. So you start seeing things that are kind of matched to that, but let's say we don't agree with any of those and add things that lead to it. So could anyone tell me one thing that leads to world peace?
Female leaders.
Maybe hands will be better. Sorry, yeah, go on. I think you were first. Female leaders, sure. Let's say more female leaders, or what do you think would lead to more female leaders?
Fewer men.
I'll go with fewer men. Pregnant men. Okay. So, can anyone think of something else that leads to world peace that's not female leaders?
Everyone stopping being dicks to each other.
Everyone stopping being dicks to each other. Can anyone think of something that will lead to everyone stopping being dicks to each other? Go for it.
Aircon on the tube?
Aircon. So now what we can do, because obviously this is just a bunch of arrows pointing to a big lofty goal, right, still, which is exactly what many campaigning organizations will do in closed rooms. They'll kind of sit together and kind of go, hey, I think that will lead to that, and I think that will lead to that. And some of them might be really, really well educated and know exactly why different things will lead to each other, but then they'll kind of present and send around their organization a static PDF of this thing that they've put together in a meeting room. The difference with this is that you can now open this up to everybody in the world and say, actually, wouldn't it be cool if everyone could go in here and vote this up or down and say whether or not they agree that this thing will lead to the next thing, and start gathering evidence about each individual step and start building some kind of real evidence around this thing that otherwise would just be a theory.
Okay.
I think it's really cool. I really like the kind of simplicity and the graphical design of it. It's really, really nice. And I think the way I see what you've just presented is I wouldn't tighten it up or refine it at all. Twitter went to market with 140 characters and people made it whatever they wanted to. And I think that's the great thing about what you've just presented, is that people can come and use that for whatever reason they want. It seems like a very, very flexible system. So you can imagine it, through kind of meaningful organisations like charities and stuff, trying to open up their kind of decision-making process and what they're campaigning for. You could imagine it in a kind of political context. You could even imagine it, I guess, in a sphere around kind of refining processes and opening that up to, any kind of organisation, really. So I think what you've presented, because it's quite simplistic in nature, is very, very flexible, and that's what I like about it.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
I just thought it'd be quite interesting if you could, if, for example, world peace, you found you had a lot of votes around one of the contributing factors, but you couldn't quite get to world peace because you didn't have a quorum across all three. If you then said, well, there are factors which are really popular across a series of different big causes, well, although they won't necessarily affect those individual causes, if you took all those factors, there's another massive cause that you could affect. So you're intelligently picking up the stuff that people are really interested in and affecting change that way.
Yeah. So something we're thinking about is linking things across pages. Already, something I didn't mention is that everything has its own URL, so you can actually zoom in on any step. And so the next step now is for us to be able to say, actually, as well as leading to world peace, this will also lead to like less fights. That's the same thing. But longer lasting marriages or something.
Does this remind anybody else of kind of a base camp feel in terms of it could be like a massive system with a huge amount of features and a load of user requests? That's kind of how I feel about it. Have you looked at the kind of model that they've followed?
Yeah, kind of project management kind of thing.
Yeah, but like their customer base said, right, these are all the things we want in, and they kind of said, actually, no, we're not going to make it that complicated.
I see, right.
So I would kind of maybe read the rework book, because there's a lot of kind of good advice on there, and keeping it simple in order to make it usable for kind of the users you want to use it, rather than exactly tailoring it to a certain subsector or whatever. So I'd read that.
Thanks very much. Cool.
Big round of applause. Thank you.